Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, so Venerable Sangha, Sialis, and the Dhamma friends. So after a couple of weeks, we'll be resuming our class on the Paṭṭhāna. I hope that y'all spend some decent time on reviewing and memorizing what we learned, especially with the analytical states, which I ask you all to memorize. Okay, so the last time we met, we were discussing the Adhipati Paccaya, the Sahajāta Adhipati, the predominance condition, and from that we went through the analytical states or the conditioning states, which are the four dominant dhammas, the Adhipati, and one of the three dominant dhammas, Adhipati, and the conditioned states. And today what we have to do here is a breakdown on the analytical states, right? So regarding this Sahajata Adhipati, there are special. I mean, this Sahajata Adhipati, it is not applicable for in all the chittas and cetasikas, right? So it's specially applicable in the 52, right? In 52 types of impulsive consciousness, which means the 52 types of javana consciousness. This is applicable. So among them, we know there are Chanda, Chitta, Virya, and Vimamsa, right? So Chanda is the Chandadipati, desire predominance. Chittadipati is the consciousness predominance. Viryadipati is the effort predominance, and the Vimamsadipati is the investigation predominance. So, but among this, the Chandadipati, the Chittadipati, and Viryadipati, they are applicable in 52 types of impulsive consciousness, which we will be discussing. And with the case of the Vimamsadipati, right? This one, Vimamsadipati, it's applicable only in 47 types of consciousness, where the wisdom, right? Wisdom mental factor is applicable. Right. So last time we discussed that there are in the case of the predominance condition, there are 10 answers, 10 enumerations, but only 7 are applicable for the connaissance predominance condition that we discussed last time. Right. Okay. So now we'll go into the breakdown of the impulsive moments, the javana, the consciousness, wherever this connaissance predominance is applicable. Right. So we know from the knowledge from the Abhidhamma Sangaha, this javana types of consciousness, the impulsive moments, there are 55 in total, right? There are 55 in total, but the predominance condition is only applicable in the 52 consciousness, right? So when you go through them, here we have unwholesome impulsive moments, the akusala javana, there are 12, and rootless hasituppada consciousness, the rootless mind producing consciousness, we have one here. And for the great wholesome, great functional impulsive moments, there are 16. And sublime wholesome, sublime functional, there are 18, right? The Mahagata and the Mahagata Chittas applicable. And for the supramundane impulsive moments, there are 8, right? The Magga and the Pala consciousness. And however, from this 52, right? Only the 10 two-rooted consciousness will have the predominance condition, right? So wherever the moments where these 10 two-rooted consciousness are there, this predominance condition will be applicable, which means that the chittas which are associated with the delusion, the mohamula chitta, even though they are javana chittas, impulsive moments, they do not have the predominance condition, right? So that's one thing we need to know, because these mohamula chittas, they are not very strong, because they are only supported by one type of root, which is the moha, right? So in all the other unwholesome consciousness, there are 2 roots at least, right? So with the support of the roots and the support of the root condition, these consciousness are quite strong, rather than the consciousness rooted in delusion. And regarding the hasituppada, the rootless mind producing consciousness, again, it's a rootless consciousness, right? So it arises for the arhantas when they smile, but still they do not have much force on it. So then, because of that, then it will not be a predominance. So altogether, there are, from this 55, so 3 roots, 3 consciousness are removed here. Right. So another thing that we need to know here is that in the case of some other paccayas, such as the root condition, then the jhana condition, the magga condition. So in these conditions, they had multitude of conditioning state, right? So which means that in the case of roots, there were, when the root condition is applicable, except for the rootless, except for the consciousness associated with delusion, in the other rooted consciousness, there were at least two roots functioning as the conditioning states. So in the case of jhana, it had many roots, right? So in the case of the indriya, the faculty condition, it had many. I'm sorry. In the case of jhana, it had many conditioning states. In the case of the faculty condition, then it had many roots. I'm sorry, it had many conditioning states. But here also, even though there are 4 conditioning states, wherever this connaissance predominant is applicable, only one will be there, right? Which means now say, for example, in a particular consciousness, right? In a particular rooted consciousness, say we will take the first lobha chitta, right? In the first lobha chitta, there are 2. There's a possibility that 3 types of predominance may arise, right? So one can be the desire, Adhipati, desire predominance. Then it's possible, there's a possibility of Adhipati, because the chitta is always there, right? Chanda is always there with the lobha chitta, and also the effort predominance, the Adhipati, right? Because all 3 dhammas, they are applicable wherever the rooted, wherever the lobha chitta, the greed rooted consciousness arise. But the predominance will be only for one thing, only for one factor, right? Which means that all 3 cannot be predominance, right? The word predominance itself means that it's dominating something, right? It's dominating the other dhammas which are there. So which means there shouldn't be two dhammas which are dominating, right? So in the Burmese shadows, they give a simile, right? In the case of the predominance condition, it's like a universal monarch, right? Which have the dominance for the entire universe, entire world, right? And when you compare it with the faculty condition, it says it's like a lesser king who is ruling a kingdom, like that, right? So we have to know here that only one will be only one Dhamma, only one conditioning state will be predominant. And we have to know that in all the time, right? In all the time, the predominance condition will not be applicable, right? For some of the chittas. Say here, so here for the Lobha chitta, so the predominance condition will not be applicable for this for the 10 chittas here, right? And for here also, the great wholesome and great functional impulsive moments, the predominance condition will not be applicable. And but with the case of the sublime wholesome and the supramundane impulsive moments, right? The Mahagata and the Lokuttara states, there will be a predominance condition always, right? So we need to know these couple of factors regarding the predominance condition. Right. So there are a few other factors we need to know here. One is regarding the supramundane impulsive moments, right? So there are 8 in total, which is Magga, right? The fruit. There are 4, right? 4 consciousness, where the induced mind moment, which is the predominance is applicable. And then we have the Pala. Again, there are 4 consciousness, right? So the Pala consciousness, the resultant consciousness, the fruit consciousness, they are applicable for the supramundane here, right? For the supramundane states here, right? But when you look at this part, right? In this part of the chart, we have the mundane consciousness, the Lokiya chittas, right? We have the mundane consciousness here. Right? We have the mundane consciousness here in this part of the table. So, but if you look at this carefully, you will not find any mundane resultant consciousness. Right? Here, this is this one. This is a resultant consciousness. Right? This one is a resultant one. But in the case of the mundane consciousness, there is no resultant consciousness. So we have to know why the reason is, right? We have to find that reason for that. Right. So one of the key features that we need to know in terms of the predominance conditions, which is applicable for the mundane consciousness, is that the preparation, right? What is there for the preliminary preparation for the arising of that consciousness, right? Say for example, for the arising of say if you are determined to meditate, right? And then you need to have some serious effort on that, right? You're putting some effort, some preliminary preparation from a set of previous consciousness. And after having this for a while, then a set of consciousness with the predominance condition will arise, right? So but in the case of the in the case of the vipaka chittas, right? In the case of the vipaka chittas, then the predominance condition is not there, because for the arising of these vipaka chittas, the resultants, then there is no preliminary preparation for that. Right. So, but in the case, now we may have the question. So how come in the resultant consciousness, the fruit consciousness, this predominance consciousness, the predominance condition is applicable in the resultant consciousness? You may have this question here, right? Because in the mundane consciousness, mundane result consciousness, it was not applicable because it did not have any preliminary preparation, but in here it's there. So the reason is that for this one is the effort that it is taking, right? So right, we know the fruit consciousness, they arise immediately after the wholesome consciousness, right, which is the magga consciousness. Immediately after the magga consciousness, the resultant consciousness, the fruit consciousness will arise. For the arising of the magga consciousness, the fruit consciousness, lot of effort has to be put, right? Lot of effort goes into for the arising of the magga consciousness. So that supports to have the predominance consciousness in the resultant, which is the fruit consciousness, right? And also there is another kind of special effort in the resultant consciousness, which is to when after the arising of the magga consciousness, there is something called, in Pali it is called patipassambana vyapara, which means to extinguish the function, the operation of tranquilizing effort, right? That extinguish the fire of defilement, right? So in here, then in the magga consciousness, the fruit consciousness, there will be the eradication of defilements, the extinguishing of the defilements. And here in its results, the fruit consciousness, in the fruit consciousness, there is something called tranquilizing it, right? Tranquilizing effort. So it's a special case for the fruit consciousness. So that's why the predominance condition is applicable here. Right. So I mentioned here when I was explaining here for the rootless consciousness that it will not be predominant, and the two consciousness here, the two delusion rooted consciousness, right? The two delusion rooted consciousness, they do not have this predominant condition. The reason I said that it will only, in the case of the delusion rooted consciousness, that there will be only one root, and for the rootless mind producing consciousness there are no roots. So in addition to that, there is another reason that the predominance condition is not applicable here. So the other reason is that for these three types of conditions, the two delusion and the rootless smile producing condition, there is no preliminary effort, right? In the case of the arhantas who are smiling, for some reason they do not have a kind of a pre-prepared or some kind of a pre-arrangement or preliminary preparation for to produce a smile, right? So when they see something happening in the mundane world, then they will smile. It's kind of, I would say, like impulsive, right? The word impulsive is not proper, right? So they will just smile at it when they see something which is improper in the mundane world, right? But they do not have much kind of they do not have the preliminary preparation for that. And it's the same case with the two delusion-rooted consciousness, right? Which is associated with doubt and the restlessness consciousness. I mean, like nobody's nobody's deliberately making an effort to have doubt, right? To have doubt, and nobody's really trying to have a restlessness mind. right? So it happens. It's like that. Right. So I mentioned that in many of these consciousness, especially with the consciousness which are associated with the sensual pleasures in the sensuous world, the kama achara chittas, the predominance condition will not be applicable always, right? So it will be there sometimes depending on the conditions. But in the case of the sublime and the supramundane consciousness, it's always there, right? So that we know already. But there are a few exceptions here, which is for the consciousness which arise in the sensual plane, the kama achara chittas, wherever the five heinous crimes, the anantariya kamas, right? Killing father, the killing the mother, and things like that. So when it is taking place, it says that it's explained that this predominance condition will be there for the five heinous kamas, and also the wrong view, niyata michaditi. Right. So one more thing we need to know here. So in the conditioning states, it was given as one of the four dominant dhammas, Adhipati, and one of the three dominant dhammas, right? So here we have four, and here we have three, right? Which means that we know the meaning of one of the, means that, that only one type of predominance conditioning state will be applicable, right, wherever it's going to take place. And also the four dominant Adhipdhammas are applicable for the wholesome and the resultant consciousness, wherever in the 47 types of, right? So this is applicable for especially the four types of dominant dhammas are applicable for the 47 consciousness associated with wisdom, right? So in general, we would say that it is applicable wherever the wholesome consciousness. If you be more specific, it's applicable for the consciousness associated with the wisdom. Right, with wisdom. And this one of the three dominant dhammas. So it is applicable for the unwholesome consciousness, 10 types of unwholesome consciousness, mind moments where the wisdom is not there, not applicable. So only out of the three, that one will be the dominant dhamma.
Sorry, Pandit, this three dominant dhammas means akusala and also
Only akusala.
Only akusala. Then how about jnana vipayutta?
Jnana vipayutta. Yes, I mean this is how the Burmese shadows have explained here, right? For one of the four and one of the three. So in general, that the shadows have given that this is for the one of the four is applicable in general for the wholesome, and one of the three is applicable for the unwholesome. That's what is given.
Okay.
I mean, not only the wholesome, that some of the resultant consciousness are applicable here too.
Okay, Pandit.
Right. So, yeah. So regarding the conditioned phenomena, right? About the conditioned phenomena, that it is applicable for the, right? So it's applicable for the associated aggregates with the predominant factors, and also the mind produced matter, right? The chitta jarupa only, right? So when it comes to the analytical states, in generally will be explained as the mind produced matter as Sadipati Chitta Jarupa, Right? So Adhipati means the mind-produced matter which have the Adhipati, like that. And also, it's not applicable for the this predominance condition is not applicable at the rebirth, right? At the rebirth linking consciousness, and it's not there, which means that the karma produced matter at the rebirth linking, the patisandhi kamaja rupa, is not there as well. So in general, the chittaja rupa, the mind produced matter, can be divided based on whether this Adhipati Paccaya is there or not, right? So it's given as Adhipati Chittaja Rupa, and the other type is called Niradhipati Chittaja Rupa, which means the mind produced matter due to non-predominant, right? The predominant factor is not there, but the mind produced matter, they arise, right? So the predominance condition is not applicable there. So now we move into the table where the analytical states are explained. So this one, for the first one, we have the 7 states here, the seven enumerations, I'm sorry, the 7 enumerations are there. And for the kusala, right, kusalo, kusalasa, the wholesome supporting the wholesome resultants, the condition. So here it comes as it is given the conditioning states for all 3. It's given as one of the 4 dominant dhammas, right? So it's given in general, really, right? It's not broken. It's not split down. It's not broken down into 2-rooted consciousness and 3-rooted consciousness. It's given in general. That's why. And the resultants, the conditioned states are the associate aggregates, which are the 21 wholesome consciousness and 38 mental factors, right? But we have to exclude the dominant one here, right? We have to exclude the dominant factor from here, which means that the dominant dhamma becomes the conditioned state, but it does not become the conditioned state, right? Because the paccaya and because it's only have one type of paccaya, right? So that's how we derive the kusalo kusalasa. Then we have the kusalo abhyakatasa, the wholesome supporting the indeterminate, which is the dominant mind produced matter. Now you see the it is given as dominant mind produced matter, not in general, right? The adjective is used here as dominant. And then the third one, we have the wholesome supporting the wholesome and the indeterminate, where you have the combination of the associate aggregates and the dominant mind produced matter. Right. So now we move into the akusala terms. So again, here we have this change here, one of the 3 dominant dhammas. And here we have the associated aggregates, the 10 unwholesome, in the conditioned, we have the 10 unwholesome consciousness, right? So the two delusion rooted consciousness are removed, and then and 26 mental factors, which is the doubt, the mental factor of doubt is removed. So in the resultants, in the unwholesome supporting the indeterminate, the condition is the dominant mind produced matter, which is the same as previous. And akusalo abhyakatasa, akusala abhyakatasa, akusala supporting the akusala, unwholesome supporting the unwholesome and the indeterminate. So it's the associate aggregates and the dominant mind produced matter, a combination of both. And for the indeterminate terms, then indeterminate supporting the indeterminate, it has one of the 4 dominant dhammas, right? One of the 4 dominant dhammas, because in the indeterminate, some of the indeterminate consciousness, they are associated with wisdom. So that's why we get the 4 here, right? And in here that we have in the conditioned states, we have the 4 fruit consciousness, and 17 rooted kriya. The rooted means the functional rooted consciousness, 17 of them. The unrooted ones, right? The non-rooted, the functional, they are not applicable here. And then we have the 38 mental factors and dominant mind produced matter. Okay, so with that, we have completed the 7 types of, okay, so we have the 9 condition group, right? So here we were discussing the connaissance group, the Sahajāta, right? And then we started discussing, okay, in the connaissance condition group, it was 3-folded, right? Connaissance small group, the connaissance medium, and the connaissance large group. So we discussed all the paccayas, all the conditions from this connaissance small group, right? And now we have to discuss the connaissance large group, right? Okay, so before moving into the connaissance major group, the large group, if you have any questions, we can discuss regarding the connaissance predominance on the section that we discussed already. Okay, there is one question in the English. Right, okay, so can you see the screen? Can, right?
Yes, man.
Yeah, so yeah, so the term for the, can Bhante please tell us what is the Pali term for tranquilizing effort in regard of the supramundane Palachitta? So this is called in Pali, I already included this one in the note, of course. It's called Patipasambhana Vyapara. Okay, please translate this one. Yes. This question, the next one is for the Phala Chitta. If arising in the mental process of Phala Samapatti, there is no Magga Chitta. Is there also this tranquilizing effort? I don't know the answer, so let me check it. And if Bhante Kassapa or any other Dhamma friend know the answer, please share it and check it later too. No, right? Okay.
And I think, yeah, but I just what I'm thinking, if the Palajita is aiming for the tranquil, like the Nibbana, when it experiencing the Nibbana, it also feel the tranquil. So it should also have this tranquilizing effort, but I didn't check the value.
Yes, let me check also, because in all of the places that I have seen, the tranquilizing effort it's always related to it's explained related to the Magga Chitta. That's that. So I need to check it. This one. I'll check also to find a
Okay, I
text.
trust it. Okay, I trust it first.
Okay. Right. The third question, it's very straightforward. When there is predominance condition, are all Chittaja Rupa arising within that mind moment are Sadhipati Chittaja Rupa? Yes. Okay, so do we have more questions? No, right? Right. So before moving really into the before moving into the uh, connaissance condition, I thought to share some Dhamma, right, from the suttas, of course, Sutta and Vinaya, from the Paharada Sutta, right? So I believe some of you have read this sutta, right? It's the name of the sutta called Paharada Sutta. There was an Asura, right, who was a king, and so one day he came to meet the Buddha, our Lord Buddha, and in the in this Paharada Sutta there is a long discussion between Buddha and this Asura. So so one of the questions is that the Buddha asked, right? So why do the Asuras, the Titans, they love the ocean, right? So uh, so one of the answer he gives is that the ocean gradually slants, slopes, and inclines with no abrupt precipice. This is the first thing that the Titans love about the ocean, right? So when the ocean gets deepened, so it does not get deepened suddenly, right? So it, by inch, little by little, it get deepens, not suddenly. So this is one reason that the Titans love the ocean. This is what the is the answer given by this Asura, and the Buddha, right, using the same analogy, right? He explains our Buddha, Lord Buddha. He says, in the same way, in this teaching and training, the penetration of to the enlightenment comes from gradual training, progress, and practice, not abruptly. So this is the first thing that the mendicants, which means the monks, love about this training, teaching, and training. This is the answer. This is the analogy which our Lord Buddha used. So when I'm reflecting this sutta, right, which comes here, which is especially with this part, I think it's the same case with all the Dhamma that we learn, right? It slowly, it gets deepened, right? Not it becomes difficult or deepened uh, abruptly. So in the study of the Paṭṭhāna, we need to remember this as well, right? We know this, as I mentioned in one of my, I think in my earlier lectures, I explained you all that these Dhammas are connected, right? Because this teaching of Abhidhamma is one single desana, one single discourse of our Lord Buddha, and it's connected, and it's get deepened gradually, not abruptly. So so because of that, we need to know this fact, because we know the Paṭṭhāna is difficult, it's not easy to learn, and but the good thing about is it get deepens little by little, which means that if you are putting a good effort, a serious effort, a continuous effort, then it can be learned, right? At least the Kusalattika Paṭṭhāna that we are learning, it's possible for us to learn it, because it's not something impossible. And the good thing, it becomes deepened gradually. So if you are taking my advice and do the things which I'm recommending you to do, things like memorizing and working, reviewing the reviewing the notes and all, then it's going to be very supportive for your study, right? So please have that in your mind always.
Okay, thank you for this sharing and the advice. We will also share in our group.
Okay. Now we will move into the right. Now we will move into the connaissance large subgroup, right? Connaissance major group, or you can say. Right. So in the case of the connaissance large group, there are 4 conditions, right? There are 4 conditions, and the good thing is that the conditioning states and the condition states of all these conditions, like in these 4 conditions, are the same, right? So difference is only between the conditioning force. And there is a similarity about the conditioning forces here, which is that these dhammas has any other conditions in the connaissance group. They support simultaneously, right? They support the simultaneously, which the condition states also arise together, right? Right. So now we know there are four types of conditions here. The connaissance conditions, which is Sahajata, and then we have the connaissance dependence, Sahajata Nisaya, then the connaissance present, Sahajata Atti, and the connaissance non-disappearance, Sahajata Avigata. There are 4 of them. So now we will look into these conditions where these conditions are classified. Right. So in the classification of conditions, the connaissance condition is included solely within the connaissance major subgroup, right? That we need to know here. Right. But in the case of the Nisaya conditions, the dependent conditions is divided into 2 parts, the connaissance dependence and the prenaissance dependence, right? In Pali it's called Sahajata Nisaya and Purejata Nisaya. And the Sahajata Nisaya is the one which is belong the connaissance dependence, that is which is belong to the connaissance major subgroup. And the Purejata Nisaya, the prenaissance dependence, is further divided into object prenaissance dependence and base prenaissance dependence, right? And object prenaissance dependent is Aramana Purejata Nisaya. Base prenaissance dependent is the Vattharamana Purejata Nisaya. And and this base prenaissance dependence, it belongs to the base prenaissance group. It's called the Vattu Purejata group. And the object prenaissance belongs to the object group, Aramana group, right? So like that, there's a small division, right? It's in here. Right. And in the case of the presence conditions, Adhipati is divided into 5, right? So it's further divided. The connaissance presence, Sahajata Ati, prenaissance presence, the Purejata Ati, post-nascence presence, Paccaya-jata Ati, nutriment presence, Ahara Ati, and faculty presence, Indriya Ati, right? So like that, there are 5, right? And the connaissance present, the Sahajata Ati, is the part of the connaissance major group, which we have to discuss now. And the prenaissance presence, which is the Purejata Ati, is divided into object prenaissance and the base prenaissance, Aramana Purejata Ati and Vattu Purejata Ati. And base prenaissance, Vattu Purejata Ati, it belongs to the base prenaissance group, Vattu Purejata. And the object prenaissance, the Aramana Purejata, it belongs to the object group, the Aramana Gana. And the post-nascence presence, Paccaya-jata Ati, condition is included in the post-nascence group, and the Paccaya-jata group, and the nutriment presence is included in the nutriment group, right? Rupahara. And the faculty presence condition, Indriyati, is included in the faculty of physical life group, the Rupa Jivit Indriya group. So like that, there's a division here, right? So it's basically, it's given as it's subdivided into 5, but depending on the teacher and the method, sometimes it's divided into a few more. As far as I recall, in the Aramana group, there are, in the object group, it's further divided, but some of the parts of, like some of the parts are divided into another couple of things. I think in some cases, maybe not some cases, in I think it's divided into 9 or sometimes, right? Nevertheless, we will be learning in later in the other groups. So for the time being, just remember that there are 5 here, and then which we are really learning here is the connaissance presence, the Sahajāta ati. Okay, so the non-disappearance conditions, the Avigata Paccaya, it has the same classification as the subdivision as the presence condition, right? The same, like same. So we will be studying only the sections related regarding the connaissance major group, and the Pali related to the 4 conditions is the same for all, right? Except for the conditioning force. So it means that if we learn one, then the other 3 is done. Right. So now right, in the case of the connaissance condition, right? So we'll be learning the connaissance condition, right? First we'll be learning this one, which means that we'll be learning the others as well. So it consists of 9 elaborations, right? 9 answers are there. So it can be broken down into 3, right? At the period of life continuity, the rebirth linking, and stand-alone matter. Right. And breaking it down further, from the first elaboration, from the first answer to the 6th one, and 8th and 9th. So 1 to 6 and 8th and 9th. It explains about the condition and the period of life continuity. And in the 7th one, both at the period of life continuity and rebirth linking are presented. And also the standalone matter will be there, which will be explained later. Right? So it's very straightforward things. Right. So in the text, we have included this one, the classification, but I will not go through it now because it's quite long, right? So like as in the previous in the Sahajata small group, I will not go through it because it's quite long, right? So rather than that, I will be discussing a little bit on the analytical states, and then I will take one by one, right? One and one by one of the enumerations, the elaborations, and then I will be discussing them. And so it will be quite easy. Okay, so I will discuss the conditioning states and the conditioned states, right? So here really what is given here in this inside this box is that for all the 4 paccayas, we know the conditioning states and the conditioned states are the same, right? For the connaissance dependence, the connaissance presence, the connaissance non-dependence. So they are the same, right? So it's in general, it's broken into, it's split into 3 parts, right? First one, we have the 4 mental aggregates, right? How they support each other and how they support the matter which are attached to them, right? So it says the first part, the 4 mental aggregates, both life continuum and rebirth linking. I don't know if it is correct or not, right? So both life continuum and rebirth linking, right? So it includes both mental aggregates which support reciprocally, right? Reciprocally means they're supporting each other. in some cases, right? They're supporting the four mental aggregates, they are supporting each other, and uh, it is given as reciprocally and mind produce matter, right? So sometimes they're supporting each other plus the mind produce matter, and in the moment of conception it support the karma produce matter or the patisandhi kamaja rupa. Right. So here the second one, oh, see what has happened. I'm sorry that brother JJ sent a message, right? So I have not been showing the screen here. I was sharing the other screen. Sorry for that. Anyway, I don't think that you missed much. Okay. Okay. So here we have the four great elements which support reciprocally and for derived matter, the second one, right? So the four great elements, they are supporting each other, and the derived matter, the upadharupa. Right. And the third one, the third part is the five-fold existent rebirth linking mental aggregates. Right. In Pali, it's called Panchavokara Patisandhi Namakanda, and the heart base, which support reciprocally. So this is something special. At the moment of the birth, rebirth, the heart base is supporting the rebirth linking mental aggregates, and the rebirth mental aggregates are supporting the heart base. So that's why it's called as they're supporting reciprocally. Okay, so I have included here a table which was used by one of the shadows, well-known shadows, for the explanation to really memorize the analytical states of the connaissance large and small groups. I'm sorry. It should be not small, it should be medium groups, right? So to derive the analytical states in the connaissance large and the medium groups, right? So again, it's the same thing, right? Which is presented here, right? So it included the four mental aggregates. They are supporting reciprocally and respective mental aggregates, the mind produced matter. At the moment of conception, karma produced matter. The second one, the four great elements supporting reciprocally and to the derived matter. Okay, so the third one, which you already know, the fivefold existent rebirth mental aggregates and the heart base supporting reciprocally, right? So this, yeah. So I have included the explanation here, which I sent you all today. Sorry for the interruption. Yeah. Okay. So now we will yeah. Now we will okay. We'll try to. I'm not sure this is going to work. Anyway. Okay. So no, 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 no. No. Yes, the screen is too small. Okay, so we'll go to the first enumeration here, which is Kusalo Dhammo, Kusalasa Dhammasa, Sahajāta Paccayana Paccaya. The wholesome phenomena supports the wholesome phenomena through the force of connaissance condition, and it says Kusalo Eko Khando, Tinnanang Khandanang, Sahajāta Paccayana Paccaya. So one wholesome aggregate, right? One wholesome aggregate supports three aggregates through the force of connaissance conditioning. The next one, Tayo Khanda Ekasya Khandasa Sahajata Paccayana Paccaya. The three aggregates support a single aggregate through the force of connaissance conditioning. Dve Khanda Dvinnang Khandanam Sahajata Paccayana Paccaya. Two aggregates support two aggregates through the force of connaissance conditioning. Okay, so the explanation, right? So this is one mentioned here. Kusalo Eko Khando Tinnanang Khandana means one wholesome aggregate conditions three aggregates. Three wholesome aggregates condition one aggregate. Two wholesome aggregates condition two aggregates. So so when they are conditioning each other, right? So when they are conditioning each other, for the first one, when one aggregate, when they are conditioning to the other three aggregates, there are four methods in total, right? There are four in total. So you take one for the conditioning phenomena. So separately, feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness into one side. And you have the other three in the conditioned phenomena. So feeling, you have the other three here. But when you have the perception in the conditioning phenomena, then you have the feeling, formations, and the consciousness here. We have the formations here, the feeling, perception, and consciousness are there, right? So in the consciousness in the conditioning phenomena, the other three is there, like that, right? So the second one was three wholesome aggregates conditioning one aggregate. So in that case, you take three with, there are four methods in total, right? So take three here, feeling, perception, and formations, and one aggregate, the consciousness, become the conditioning phenomena. So you work out all the combinations with three aggregates like this. Yeah. So with the two aggregates supporting the two aggregates, then we have to take two to this side. And for this side, for the conditioned phenomena, then again we have to take the other two aggregates. So like that, there are 6 methods in total if you put them in this way. Okay, so we have more things regarding the connaissance conditions to discuss. So if you have questions up until now, we can answer them.
So here in the table, altogether, how many conditions? So 15 or 14?
How many combinations, right? So
Yeah.
4, 8, yeah, 14 in total.
14 in total, okay.
Yeah.
Then we should change the number because in the file it says 15.
Oh, is it? Ah, I see. So it's here, there are 15 ways, right? Oh, I'm sorry, it should be 14, right? Yeah. Okay. Yes, so there is a question. At the rebirth linking moment, the four mental aggregates and heart base support each other reciprocally. Okay. As for the heart base, this here only referred the Hadevatu Rupa. How about the other Rupa arising together at the same time? Earth, water, fire, wind, color, etc. So I think this is Sasyale, right? Do Sikari.
Yes, Sikari. So
Yeah.
from Mimi.
So Mimi, right? Okay. So is this referring to the other types of other types of materiality in the same Rupa Kalapa? Is it?
I think Pandey, the answer is the other Palisandi moment Kamaja Rupa was mentioned in the first type. Because you see there's 3 types.
Okay. So yeah. So it says yes, Bante. Yeah. So the Sarah is asking about the other types of Rupa. No, it's specifically mentioned about the Vatu Rupa only, right? It does not refer to the other types of Rupa.
And actually, this is the question I asked you before the class. So, because in the first type, it said Palisandi moment Kamaja produced the matter. So, Pandey, you said you will explain this one, right?
I think this is 2 questions. Can Sally talk, please?
Yes, Vande. My question is mainly because when we chant, it mentions the Padisandi moment, Namarupa, they support each other reciprocally. But here it only mentions Hadayawatu Rupa. For example, as a human being at Padisandi moment, there are 30 Rupa. So other ones, they do not reciprocally support the with the 4 Nama Kanda?
Yes. So the other Rupas, they do not support the 4 Nama Kanda. Only the Hadevatu, the heart base, will support the rebirth linking mental aggregates. So when we are chanting the paccayaniddesa, right? When you're chanting, it says Patisandikane. Okay, let me show it for the other people, students. Yeah, here one, right? So here says this is one you are referring, right? Okkantikkane namarupang anyamanyang sahajata paccayana paccayo. So in the Patisandi time, mentality and materiality, they support with the Sahajata condition for each other. So this is given in general, right? So but when we go into further deep, it's given as the Vatu Rupa, the Hadevatu is referred. I think in the commentary here it is very specifically mentioned about the heart base only.
Oh, Vande. Maybe a further question. Maybe for Anya Manya Paccaya, sure, there's only Hadayawatu, but for Sahajata, because the other Rupa, the other Kamaja Rupa, they arise at the same time. So it's still not Sahajata?
Other Kamaja Rupa, yes. The other Kamaja Rupa, they are conditioned state of Sahajata. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Vande.
Okay, so any other questions before ending the class? No, right? Okay, so
my question is, my question?
Yes.
Why in the first type, when it mentioned the Palisandi moment, Kamaja Kamaja Rupa, like which why it doesn't mention we should exclude the Padisandi moment Hadaya Rupa condition.
Yes. I think also it will take some time for me to explain it together with the Pali. I think we explain it next week together with the classification here.
Okay, Pandit. But what I'm thinking is, if we didn't exclude the Padisandi moment Hadaya Rupa in the first type, it will be repeated.
Yes. I also had the same problem when I was learning, really. Okay, I will give the answer in brief. Maybe not everybody will understand it. So, okay, this is the Abhyakato Abhyakata, so where this Patisandi moment is coming. So we have to now we have to understand, like it's true. I also had the same problem because there will be a repetition. When I was learning, I had the same problem like you. So here it explains Patisandikane Vipaka Abhyakato Eko Khandu Tinanang Kandanang Katattasa Rupanang Sahajāta Paccena Paccaya. So it mentions that at the moment of conception, the resultant indeterminate and the it's wrong here. Resultant indeterminants, one aggregate, support three aggregates, and the comma produced matter, right? Katattasa rupa means the comma produced matter. So I think what the Burmese sadhus, what they have done here is, this in Burmese they call it in Pali we call it Sarupa Katana, in Burmese Ayakau, so what they do is really that phrase by phrase they will be picking up the analytical states. So when you say Katatta Charupanang in general, then we have to take this one, right? And in the case of the four mental aggregates and the hard base supporting each other, right, reciprocally, Khanda Vattusa Sahajata Paccena Paccaya, Vattu Khandana Sahajata Paccena Paccaya. So here this is kind of a special thing where the aggregates are supporting the hard base and the hard base supporting back the mental aggregates. So that's why this is included in a separately. That is the reason. Yes, if you look at the condition states in this way, I mean, if you look at the condition states of the Sahajata Paccaya, then yes, it will be a double counting. But we have to understand the analytical states are given based on these Pali sentences directly. That's why. Yeah. I think in the Pañhāvara, the first 6 chapters, I think the analytical states presented here is slightly different from this one, as far as I recall. Okay, forget the Pañhāvara for the moment, right? Because we have not learned it yet. Yeah.
Okay, Monday. Okay, sorry.
Okay, no need to translate, right? So next week we'll be anyway explaining this.
Okay, man.
Okay, also, yeah. Okay, so we share merits which we accumulated by learning, teaching, and reflecting, discussing the supreme words of Buddha. So especially today, in this class that Dr. Tushini, so she was the one who translated most or if not all of the conditions in the connaissance small group. So I'd like to make this make this moment to share merits for her, especially may she be healthy and recover from all the difficulties and from the merits which we accumulated throughout this class and and with other things. May she be healthy and happy, and all the conditions may she have for to practice the Dhamma well, especially. Yes. Right. So also we share the merits with the deities, and may they rejoice on our merits and make their lives a blissful one, and also may they support us, the sasana and all of us. Akasatta ca bhummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu sasanang. Akasatta ca bhummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu desanang. Akasatta ca bhummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu mang parang. Also, we share the merits with our relatives, deceased ancestors, and the friends who passed away, and any other being who is passed away. And may they rejoice on our merits and make their lives a blissful one. And also may it be a supportive factor for them to attain Nibbana.
那在此呢，我们也把功德回向给我们的亲族以及呢我们过生的亲戚们，愿他们呢在受到功德之后能够早日离苦得乐，并且呢愿此善业功德也成为他们证悟涅槃的助缘。
Idammi nati nang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idammi nati nang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idammi nati nang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Also, we make an aspiration until the day that we attain Nibbana. May we have the association of the noble and the virtuous people and not the ignorant. Imina punyakammena mame bala samagamu satan samagamu hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Yang pattang kusalang tassa anubhavena panino sabbe saddhamma rajassa nyatva dhammang sukhavahang papunantu visuddhaya sukhaya patipattiya asoka manupayasang nibbana sukhamuttamang chirang titthatu saddhammo dhamme hontu sagarava sabbepi satta kalena samma devo pavassatu yatharakkensu purana surajano tatevimang raja rakkatu dhammena attanova pajang pajang. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya buddhang pujemi. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya dhammang pujemi. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya sanghang pujemi. Addhaimaya patipattiya jati jara vyadhi maranam ha parimuccissami. Idamme punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu. Idamme punyang nibbanassa paccayo hotu. Mama punya bhagang sabba sattanang bhajemi. Te sabbe me samang punya bhagang labhantu. Buddha sasanang chirang titthatu. Buddha sasanang chirang titthatu. Buddha sasanang chirang tithatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for Bande's teaching. Sadhu, sadhu. May
Sadhu for
Bande be
you as
happy
well also
and
for
sadhu.
teaching
Sadhu,
and
sadhu,
translating.
sadhu.
Thank you very much, Bante.
Thank you,
Sadhu, Bante.
Bante.
Thank you very much, Bante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bante.